I think for me, that was one of the biggest life lessons, and do kind of what we've been talking about this whole time, doing student ministry, doing my photography stuff, doing everything that I've been doing, and being able to be a leader in ministry. I think a lot of that stems from me having to learn how to love people correctly. And we live in such a transactional world of I love you because you do this for me, instead of I love you just to love you. And I think seeing students being able to learn that now and have that just love for life and for other people and for themselves, and I think it goes a long way. If you can figure that out sooner rather than later, I think you can really make an impact on the world.
Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Life Stories Podcast. My name is David, if you're new, and I'm so excited that you have joined us today. I am so excited to have my great friend Lane Nolan in the pod with us, aka my living room.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Bro, we've been talking about doing this for a long time. So
seriously, months.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I started thinking about it for a while because I know that you and I had mentioned it, but then somehow other guests were coming in after you and I had talked about it. So I'm like, wait, how are these people jumping ahead of Lane?
No, that's fine.
But you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah. My name is Lane Nolan. I'm a photographer, videographer kind of person, I guess, in San Antonio, and do a lot of church stuff at CBC. I'm also a student at UTSA. I'll graduate this December with a degree in communications and marketing. So hoping to do kind of social media, photography, just continue to kind of pursue what I'm already doing and see where that goes.
Man, and you're good at it too.
Yeah, thank you.
So Lane also serves in our student ministry at CBC, and he kind of goes to the campuses, right? You do?
Yeah. So recently it's been a lot more going to campuses, getting pictures, videos, content for everything. We're promoting Fall Retreat now and getting ready for that. So it's becoming a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
I mean, side note, him and you, we were talking about it a little bit earlier about our jobs and how I was kind of complaining about my job and how sometimes you just get tired of going to do a job that, not that you're not good at, but it's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
And to see someone like you who actually does what you love to do and you're good at it and it's not work.
Yeah.
It's what you love to do because you would do it for free if given the opportunity.
Yeah.
And you're good. I mean, his pictures are all over our Instagram for our student ministry and College Plus.
Yeah.
Or not
Common Ground.
Common Ground. Sorry, Pastor Nick. I'm sorry. Common Ground. And it's funny enough, a lot of the students that you and I work real close with are always like, bro, get us.
Yeah. Get a picture.
And it's funny because I see them all the time. They are the CBC student models.
Yes, exactly.
But man, I'm so glad to have you. I appreciate you and your friendship. And it's such a joy to see you every week. And you and Maddie. Maddie is also in the room here. Yep. You can't see her, but she's there. You guys are incredibly important to me, and I treasure your friendship. And I'm so excited to get you here and hear a little bit about your story. Also, too, you did have a podcast for a little while.
Yes, I did. For a little bit. I never really continued it, but
it was called The Change or The Charge?
The Change.
To Change.
It was pretty cool. It was a fun little, I think I did 6 episodes with pretty cool guests. Yeah. So it was fun.
I think the last one I heard was with Pastor Nick.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Pastor Nick's phenomenal.
It was fun. And then life just became busy and got crazy. But
such is life.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, again, thanks for coming on, and I'm excited to hear your story. So however you want to start or whenever you're ready, go ahead and take it away. The floor is yours.
I mean, I don't know where to really start, but I guess when I think about my testimony, I grew up in a Christian household. My grandparents worked in ministry. They were on the board for kind of multiple different churches throughout my childhood, and grew up in church, grew up in ministry, going on mission trips, getting the opportunity to do some really cool things within church settings and being part of church plants. And I remember being 12, 13 years old, running the soundboard, doing things like that. And just being in church.
A
And I
typical
guess
PK.
yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah. And I never really like knew differently. I went to private school, so even school was Christ centered, and played a lot of sports growing up, and had some amazing like sports teams and friendships throughout elementary school, middle school, high school. Um, and then I'd say like college is when my life really like shifted for me. Like through middle school and high school, I was never super. I was involved in church just because of my family, but I wasn't surrounded by like really kids my age in that setting. Same thing with school. Like it wasn't super Christ centered like lifestyles. Like I always like believed and would consider myself a Christian, but I think getting into college, I like very quickly at UTSA met people involved in a ministry there on campus. And I think there was just a shift for me that became a lot more the like responsibility side of ministry, rather than seeing it as like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, but I don't need to like talk about it, do anything, whatever. It was kind of more of a, oh, I need to like share this with people. I need to like love other people better and like make this more of like my identity rather than just part of my identity, you know?
That's good.
Um, so, um, life has just gone by really fast. I mean, I'll finish school in December, so I guess this is my senior year of college.
That's
But
crazy.
freshman year was really just dove into ministry and um, was in a group, and then by the end of my first semester was leading a group, and then just continued to lead groups and met Casey Withers that I guess December. Um,
That was around the same time that I met. I felt like I met you guys around that time.
yeah, so me and Maddie went to welcome. We had been going to CBC for probably 6 months or so, and never really met anyone. And like, I mean, it's a crazy it's crazy that you could go. I mean, the church is huge, but
Mm.
we were just going every Sunday, every weekend, or Saturday night service, and we would go, but we wouldn't necessarily like connect with people or get involved in any way. But I remember like around like I guess December, January time, we went to Welcome Home, and we were actually in line for their like college ministry, but the student ministry table was right next to it. And that was when Jacob Mancini was
Hmm.
kind of like preparing to leave, I guess, TBC. And Casey Withers kind of saw us in that line, and he pulled us over and like didn't necessarily tell us anything about the college ministry, but he just said like, "Hey, like I'm the student pastor." Like he started talking to me and Maddie, and then Caleb had walked over and we met Caleb, and just kind of immediately like great first impression and interaction with them two. And then I think literally maybe the next day, like Casey and I got coffee, like just immediately like, hey, let's grab coffee, let's hang out. And then went to his community group. That's where we met you and a bunch of other people, and kind of just got right involved. And then once Casey found out that I was a photographer, it was like, "Hey, take pictures for our student ministry," and then that led into being an intern at CBC last summer, and since then I've been just running the Instagram, taking pictures every week, and getting more involved with Common Ground and young adults and a bunch of other stuff at CBC. And I think like kind of back to what you were saying about like doing something that you love. Like I think like when I first started doing this, I didn't know if I like loved it or not. It was kind of just like, oh yeah, I'll see what happens, see where this goes. But looking back now, seeing the growth that or just the impact that CBC has had on me, like meeting these people in the right places, right time, right places, and just getting involved in all of it and not really looking back, just jumping in and doing it. And I am really happy with what I do and what I get to do, and um, I do love doing it, and I'm excited to see where it continues to go. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
I think it's funny because when I met you guys, I think I met y'all at In-N-Out Burger because
yes.
that's Casey's favorite place and my absolute least favorite place. But we met because that was
That was
actually
the break the fast
Break the Fast, yes. And
in January.
yes. And up until that point, I had not gotten involved with high school CGs yet. And so for like the year or two that I was serving in student ministry, I was not part of a CG. And Caleb and Pastor Casey and I can't remember who else was like always trying to get me involved in a student group. And I was like, nope, I'm not giving up my Sunday nights. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And I cannot remember. Oh, it was Slayton because Slayton had just showed up.
Yes.
He had just came in and joined the student team. And uh, it was we were going through the fast, and it was break the fast. It was after the prayer night at CBC, and then we went to In-N-Out Burger. And I don't know why I went with Casey. I think he introduced me to you guys,
Yeah.
and I think it was because maybe Dylan, one of the students that I
Yeah.
work with closest, was going. So I was like, let me go, let me go. And I remember Slayton. I had just met Slayton. I mean, we'd known each other for maybe like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And remember, if mind you, Casey's been trying to get me in the group. Pastor Caleb trying to get me in a group. And then Slayton shows up and says, "Hey, David, have you ever thought about doing a group?" And I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "You should." I said, "Okay." I don't know what spell he put on me, but
Funny.
it worked, and I've been part of the group ever since. But somehow I ended up with Pastor Casey, and that's when I met you guys at In-N-Out. And then I think it was the following week we jumped back into CGs because I think we were on a break, right? A CG break.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how I because it was like beginning of the year and it just started because we did break the fast and then I guess we just had
I want to say it was early 23,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, I think so. Maybe that was 2024. Yeah, January of 2024.
Yes, that's what it
So
was. Not that early.
yeah,
Um, and then obviously we were part of the same CG, so then I got
yeah,
to know you guys really well. Um, yeah, that was, and it's funny because when I first met y'all, I thought y'all had already been involved like
yeah.
for a
No, I think
while.
I had convinced myself like that everyone I was meeting that I was like, oh, I'm the like new guy here,
No.
but everybody was like new. Like even like Slayton had started
Yeah.
like right when I came in, and Nick like came in
Yeah.
to for college like after like that. Like so it is cool to
You really jumped in at a good time.
yeah. I think it's been crazy to see the growth obviously for the church as a whole, but just seeing with campuses and
Mm.
Common Ground, I like that to me Common Ground's like unbelievable. Like
Oh man, I'll
my
have to like post a clip because I am now jumping on the Common Ground leadership boat, which is exciting. And I went last week they had a worship night,
yeah,
and what I saw, I have never seen anything like that before, just
yeah,
at one church. Like if anybody would have walked into that building and seen it, you would have thought this is the church, and it is literally just the college. What is
yeah.
the age group?
18 to 25.
18 to 25.
Yeah,
And not to mention just kind of what's going on like in the world today. I think people are running to Jesus more than ever.
yeah,
But man, I was just absolutely floored about what I witnessed. It
yeah.
was
No, I think it's like
breathtaking.
beautiful, and I think like part of my like I guess job or just role in that like capturing it and like trying to capture it and tell the story of it and seeing like for one just the growth that Common Ground has had. Like my first Common Ground, I think there was like maybe 150 people at
Hmm.
and just seeing that progressively grow over the
We're talking
last
about
like yeah,
thousands,
like I
couple.
think last week we had over 1200 people.
That is
So,
insane.
it's crazy and I
Not only
think it's
that, young
just
adults has moved into main worship
yes,
center now too.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah. It is crazy to see how much it's grown and it's awesome to be like a part of it and
yeah,
just being able to see it and be able to like look back on like where it all came from and
I love that. I love that you, like I said, you guys came in a good time because CBC was already growing, but it was like right at that like when the I don't know what it was. God put the metal to the pedal to
yeah.
the metal or something because it just exploded. What about a year ago we just started seeing a lot of that. I'm gonna say it. Some of it had to do with that viral video.
That's funny.
But talk to me real quick about how you guys found CBC.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the church that my family, I guess my grandparents were kind of part of starting a church plant downtown. I remember like it's weird because I was like a kid,
Hmm.
and like being a kid in like a church plant kind of setting, it's like there's not really other kids there. Because I remember like our first like meeting of that like church was like maybe 18 people.
And it's all your
Like
parents' friends.
yeah, exactly. So it's like my family and then like people that they know and like nobody my age, you know. And I was probably like that was like early middle school for me. But through middle school I was like kind of there for that, and then I guess my sophomore year of high school is when COVID happened. So during COVID that church they just couldn't afford the building that they were in. And it had grown like to be, I want to say we had maybe two services with maybe 200 people in each of them. So it grew to be
Oh,
a pretty good size like church. And um, at that point in my life, I wasn't super. There still just wasn't a ton of people my age, so it was hard to really like connect, I guess. But um, I guess that's where I had kind of gone early high school, middle school years. But when COVID happened, that church ended up closing. But me as a high schooler, I didn't like my brain was not thinking about church. I was, playing football, playing basketball, focusing on sports and school and um but my grandparents had I guess started streaming CBC online during COVID. And I think for that year we maybe went to like Christmas and maybe Easter. And those were my only experiences at CBC. But I just remember thinking how crazy it was. Like, never been to a church that big, or just seeing like the worship, the lighting, it was like a unique experience. But I think Pastor Ed is also very like, oh, I like this guy, you know?
unique.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it was like very easy to just come in and like appreciate and like the church, you know? But the rest of high school, I didn't necessarily get involved there, but my grandparents had been going. They still go. They go on Saturday night.
Is this the
Um,
grandparent that is? I think she's on my Facebook.
yes,
Okay.
she. No, my grandma loves everybody she wants to know everybody I know and meet everybody and um. But yes, so they go to I guess every Saturday night service. They're there and um. But even then, like I mean, I started college. Maddie went to Baylor. I was at UTSA. The ministry that I was a part of there went to a different church. So I was there for my whole freshman year, I guess. And I was taking pictures there before I came into CBC and helping out with some of their social media stuff. And then I guess like the summer after freshman year, um, I guess we just went with my grandparents a couple times. And then me and Maddie liked it enough to just go on our own. Um, and that's when we're like, let's try to
Get plugged in.
see more of this church. And I think meeting Casey was the perfect person to meet, and he
Mhm.
just wasn't gonna let us say no to anything. It was just like, come on. So
Jump in, and you did jump
no,
in. Both of you
exactly.
guys. I just can't imagine like I started going to CBC in 2019, and then so COVID happened, obviously 2020. I guess that's when you guys are kind of like streaming it online. So then you guys probably started serving in
It
20,
was 2024, I guess.
yeah, because you guys were going kind of just attending.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, it's definitely different. Me, so coming from a small church, um, to go to something like CBC, it's like it's completely different because if you go to a smaller church, like I feel like obviously you're the new person and people know you're the new person.
Yeah.
Like if you go to CBC, you can walk in and walk out and nobody would even. I mean, I will take back that actually because me being a campus host, like we try to combat that, but it's almost impossible
Yeah.
with the thousands of people that walk through that building. But it just goes to show too, I think, with this, like the label a mega church might have is yeah, it can be not that it's ineffective, but the community can be ineffective, but it takes the person to actually make the effort to go in and get plugged in, I think.
Yeah.
So you guys got plugged in, you got hooked up with CBC students, you started taking photos. When did you actually start jumping into common ground?
I mean, I met Nick his first day, and he knew that I took pictures for students. So his like first sermon, he said, "Can you take pictures like for Common Ground?" And I guess I did, but I didn't necessarily think that would turn into what it is now. But I just remember meeting him, and I think he's an amazing person, and
Yeah, he's
seeing like
amazing.
just being able to pick his brain and become close friends with him and get to know him just on a deeper level, and being an intern that summer of just being like, I think talking about like the mega church, like yes, it's a huge church and a ton of people go there, but it becomes small so fast.
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
could within like a week, it can become the smallest thing ever. Yeah.
Because when I go to CBC, I mean, you know me, I'm like boom, 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 all over the
Yeah.
place, especially during the weekend services. Like, I don't see it as a big church anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I obviously know it
Yeah.
is a mega,
No, exactly.
or I think Pastor Ed uses the word giga church now or
Yeah.
something now.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
because
know.
I mean, if you look at like biggest churches in the country, like CBC is
Is there?
up there.
Yeah.
Like it's a big
And it's
church.
only growing.
Yeah.
Um, but like I don't so I don't see it as a large church, but now like with the campuses kind of coming on board and Mute going to East, even just like the night of worship where I mean we had over 600 people that first night.
That is
And
crazy.
when I remember being there, I'm like, man, it's cool because I was able to catch more people coming in than I do obviously at Central, which is our main campus. Um, but it still feels very large. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like being at Central, which is our main campus, where there's thousands and thousands of people that are there at one point, at one time, and I don't feel like it's a big church. And then to go into a campus where, it's just a couple of hundred people, it's it's different. It kind of felt like a little bit more for me, like homey back in the days when I was attending a smaller church.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so not only do you do your photos and things like that with the church, but you also kind of travel around with doing some like photography or videography for some like pretty well known musical
Yeah. Yeah.
artists. Can you talk to me about that real quick?
Um. Yeah. I mean, even just like, sorry, let me move up a little bit. Um, no, even just kind of thinking about like my experience with like photography, videography is super like random. Like, because even when I started college, I was going to school for architecture, which
What?
is yeah, which is
Building
completely different.
houses.
But I in high school senior year, I took yearbook, um, kind of just for fun. Like I needed a art credit and did that. And since I was playing sports, I couldn't necessarily take pictures at sporting events. But the teacher assigned us like photo essays or like just photography projects. So um I just took pictures of random things, and I like I guess I like enjoyed it. But the teacher was like super impressed and like had submitted stuff for like competition, and like I ended up winning like a black and white photography award, and like I just took a picture on my phone and like put a black and white filter on it, and it wasn't anything crazy. But I when I graduated, I had bought a camera just kind of for fun. Didn't necessarily think it would turn into any sort of career for me, um but I guess I had started uh I got introduced to like Christian hip hop, Christian rap, and I've always been a big like music person, like all through high school, listening to whatever new music is coming out and big artists, and have always enjoyed music and concerts. And I think uh I guess like early freshman year of college, I got introduced to Christian hip hop, Christian rap, and I think it was weird for me to like realize like I think that's when you get to see these people as like people
Yeah.
instead of like these big, like it's not the same as like the secular artist that everyone knows, you know. like these guys you can like DM on Instagram and they'll respond, you know? So that was like
Mm.
kind of what had started it all. Was I had DM'd Holvey on Instagram. He had a show in San Antonio. Um, I guess that was like around August of maybe 2023. Um, and I just DM'd him on Instagram. Hey, like I bought a ticket to the show. Like I was going, Maddie was going, and but I was like, I'd love to take pictures and do media. So he responded and sent me his tour manager's information, and got there, got all like situated, got a media pass, and my camera was like a cheap little Canon like something from Best Buy, and so I didn't really know what I was doing. And then like I it didn't make sense, but there were supposed to be barricades. There weren't barricades for media. So the manager was like, "Oh, like you're good. Like you can come like on stage, like the backstage area, whatever." Like so then it was like, "Oh, I get to like meet these people, connect with them more." And that's actually where I met Zay,
Mhm.
who is now a videographer for Common Ground, and he's helped out with student stuff and was at camps. And
Mhm.
um but that's where me and him met, and that was actually his first time like really shooting a concert. Kind of same situation as me. We're just young kids, just want to do something. And but through that we met each other, and then we just started shooting a bunch of shows together in San Antonio. And anytime a Christian artist would come, we would just get connected through that, and just started building more and more connections. And that eventually led to, hey, we have a show in Dallas, come to Dallas, or a show in Houston, or just different things. And I remember going to um there's a festival in Houston called Sierra Fest, and me and Matt I dragged Maddie to go, and she did not want to go. It was like over 100 degrees in like the Astros stadium parking lot in Houston.
Oh,
And
that's where the old
uh
theme park used to be, right?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Where that
Um
crazy rapper concert that went on.
oh yes, yeah. The Travis Scott
Yeah, that's
thing.
who it was.
But yeah, so that, I mean, we were in, so yeah, it was just hot, but like we went, and I wasn't doing like media. I just was there, and I guess I kind of just took pictures and videos on my phone. And but I was like, I told her like that day, I would like I would love to like take pictures of this one day, or like do media. And then a year later I went back and did media for it, you know. And then this summer I went back again and did media. Um and now I'm connected with them and know them a lot more, and we'll probably go again next year, you know. But through that I was just like, it's been a blessing and a cool opportunity to just meet all these artists, and kind of know them and build a reputation with my photography and video work. So now when people come to San Antonio, or even if they come to Dallas, I don't think a lot of people realize how big Texas is.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you're in Texas? Like I was showing Dallas. Can you come tonight?" Like
Do you have a hotel for me?
yeah. But it has been really cool, and I shot for Holvey a couple times, and Miles Minnick is a big one. Um, and then most recently Alex Jean. I did the first like, I guess, leg of his tour, all of his Texas shows, and that was really cool. We had a couple shows in Houston and Dallas, and so I was with them for maybe like maybe a week, just getting to kind of travel and see that side of a tour and what that looks like, and um, take pictures, videos, and it's a cool like experience. And I think like there is something unique about the Christian music space, where they really are just like people.
Hmm.
Like I don't think they, like I think a lot of them see it as, this is my way of like ministry, rather than I'm trying to make myself a famous, successful music artist. So I think it's been cool to kind of meet these people, connect with them, and like break down the walls of like, oh, these are real people that I can call and text and talk to. So it has been really cool to make those connections. Um and I think it just opens up my future for a lot of
Yeah.
potential opportunities. So
Yeah. I think getting your name out there, I mean, your work actually shows for itself. Like, um, but I think it's amazing that getting into that spaces of Christian music because I feel like it's also ministry as well. You have a YouTube channel that I've seen it. I think
Yeah.
your first video when you were traveling, I think it was in Dallas.
Yeah.
But I got to see like because that's definitely not my scene.
Yeah.
I am not a huge fan of hip hop or rap. The only hip hop, if you want to call it artist, is probably Forrest
Forrest Frank.
Frank.
Yeah.
Um, but and I was watching this and I'm seeing you. And his name's Zay, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's actually cool to watch because I'm like, man, I know that guy.
Yeah.
But like, I'm talking about you, and I see Zay at church. I don't think I've ever officially met him,
Yeah.
but I see the ministry opportunities for that because I want to say I remember a part of that video where they had like he was talking about the gospel,
Yeah.
and then I see these young people just responding to it, and it's like there's people that are going to be going to those shows that will never set foot into a
Oh
church,
yeah.
and I think that that opportunity for ministry, and I think when you come into this argument, this when it comes into the Christian world of people arguing, well, is that really Christian because they've got I don't know, some people say tattoos or the way it doesn't look like a Christian,
Yeah.
because it looks like the world. I think, honestly, for me, I'm like, I don't really care what it looks like. The point is the gospel is being preached. And I love that because, like I said, people will step into those places that will never set foot in a true church.
Yeah.
And then that seed is planted. Maybe later on, it'll get watered by somebody else. Maybe they will
Yeah.
step into a church. I remember something that rapper or hip hop artist might have said.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool for you to be part of something like that because you have an impact on that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even your photos is a ministry. Um,
I mean, yeah, it is really cool because I remember like even that first Hovey concert, he had it at Paper Tiger, which is kind of like a venue in San Antonio,
yeah.
like known for kind of a more secular
Mhm.
scene and like nightclub kind of vibe. And I remember someone asking him like why he chose that like rather than like a church. Because like Lecrae is known for like he'll go on a tour, but it's all churches, you know. But Holvey was saying like the power that it has to like reach people in those
Yeah.
places and a lot of these concerts and shows like a lot of these artists will do like altar calls or salvation calls
Yeah.
and people will literally give their life to Jesus at these shows and I think that's really cool to see and like seeing artists like you would never think about it but like seeing artists like pray like before like over the whole show, you know, or like in the night in prayer or end with a worship song or whatever it may be. Just seeing the like heart behind it, it really does like I almost don't even want to call them like concerts, you know. It's more of a like worship night kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's just like the music is different, you know.
It's you say that because I always think about that these theological people will make a big deal about even like CBC worship, like the
Yeah.
lights and the smoke and and the lights that are dark. Somebody that lives in Africa
Yeah.
or anywhere like across the world is not going to worship like they do at First Baptist Church of San Antonio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are so many different ways to worship Jesus, and I love that because when I see things like that, they're worshiping because they know what they're singing about.
Yeah. No,
And
exactly.
then when you listen to something, you go to like an elevation worship concert or something, and it's the same worship, it's just in a different style.
Yeah.
And then you could go to some very Southern Baptist a cappella quartet. And it's like for me, I'm like snoozeville, but that's worship to them too, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And again, going back to Paper Tiger, is it's so much easier for someone who's younger in that kind of scene to invite a non-church friend and say, "Hey, I'm going to the show." Really, where's it going to be? Oh, it's going to be at Paper Tiger,
Yeah.
not at Community Bible Church
Yeah.
or Cornerstone Church. It's like
Yeah.
I ain't going to that, So I love that that door is already open, and I actually really love that.
Yeah. No, it is really cool.
Um, so we're gonna go back into CBC students because you and I work really close together with a certain group of dudes.
Yeah.
Talk to me how like student ministry has helped you like personally, like with your walk with Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying something like I guess it was like the end of the summer last year at Casey's house before they had moved. It was like I don't know what it was, but like volunteer appreciation something. Um but I just remember like thinking like it's cool to see I guess the other side of student ministry because as like a student in middle school and high school like again, I was never really part of youth groups or small groups, community groups. Like I was never going to like a church on a Wednesday night like thing throughout my like high school years. And not that I didn't necessarily have opportunities to, but there was just like a weird like stigma or like stereotype of like the kids that went to those things. And I never went to a camp. I never, never did any of that. But I think kind of what I said when I got to college, like that responsibility side of like, oh, I have like a responsibility to lead people and love people and like teach them about Jesus. Um and I think that doesn't change depend like with age groups,
That's true. Yeah.
like whether it's people my age, people older than me, people younger than me. And I think like student ministry was really cool as a 20-year-old entering 21-year-old like entering student ministry, and just being able to kind of pour into these students that I'm not much older than, but like still getting to see like the impact that I can have in their lives. And being able to see that. And I think it's been cool to see like the growth that like these students have
Yeah.
seen. Like I remember meeting them for the first time and just seeing where they're at now. And some of them are like being like leading their friends to
Oh yeah.
know Jesus. And it's I think it's just really cool to see the like trickle effect of like if I just impact one person, they can impact thousands more,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going. And I think it's just cool to be a part of that. And um but it was kind of interesting just being so young in it. And I think I also was just like I gained a lot of respect for even people like you and like people like Wade, people that like
The older
choose.
folks.
I mean, I just think like people that choose to pour into like to show up on a Wednesday night where it's like you don't have to, like no one is forcing you guys to come in and like lead groups, but like having that like heart behind like I want to pour into this younger generation. And I think I just gained a lot of respect for that. And it also just kind of lit a fire for me of like, oh, I want to do the same. I want to like pour into people, again, no matter what age they are.
Yeah.
But
That's so rewarding to be part of student ministry. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it because I say it all the time in these episodes. But I mean, it's so encouraging because we had a CG last night, and since I'm part of a new CG insurance, started building with some of these relationships with some of these kids that I'm meeting for the first time. And there was one student in particular, and we were all our group was pretty big last night. So the girls went upstairs, and the guys stayed downstairs. So it was me, Aiden, Joshua Matthews as the leaders, and then the students. And there was discussion in a passage of Philippians, but we were going back and forth about what we thought and our discussions about it. But then I kind of glanced over in the corner, and this one student in particular who I just met this year, and he was highlighting in his Bible, he was taking notes of everything, and I was like, "Gosh, the impact that these kids can make!" Because I remember I was homeschooled for high school, so in my school years, being that age was in middle school.
yeah,
I was one to carry my Bible. I distinctly remember this one girl coming up to me. The way she said it, I'll never forget it. She goes, "Why do you carry the Holy Bible around?" And I was like, it was just so weird. Anyway, but we had a Christian group. It was called Stand, and it was stood for Students Taking a New Direction. So I was super involved in that. So people in school, in middle school, knew that I was a Christian, a follower of Jesus, and so there was a certain amount of respect, I guess, when it came to that. So I didn't get teased a lot, even though I did every now and again, because I wasn't like, like the coolest dude on the block, but I love Jesus. And I see these kids now, and then actually one of them actually just posted on their social media before you guys got here, and I was scrolling through Instagram, and one of them reposted a thing I can't remember what the actual page was, but it was something like I'm just gonna make it was students for Christ. I'm just gonna say that, but I know the for Christ is in there, and it was students for Christ, something like that. But it was like this group in high school, and they were like their own Christian group. And I'm like, man, that is so powerful that God is still using these kids. Like, I mean, I think us as older people can make an impact.
yeah,
But I think it's so much more of an impact when people of their age go into their schools and say, no, like, I love Jesus and this is what it's about for me. Because they can speak the language of today and the weird things that kids say now. And
yeah,
um it's and seeing that, and then seeing the student who was taking his notes and he was highlighting, and was writing his Bible. For me, I don't think the students really know how much they actually encourage the leaders as well.
Yeah.
Um, have you had any experiences like that where these kids have poured into you in any kind of way?
I mean, one thing that I'll always think of is Jack Wilcox.
Oh my gosh,
And
he's
I
a legend.
remember like cuz I think for me there was always a like when I first started at like going to like midweeks or like impacts, I guess at the time. Um going and seeing these events, like I guess I was always kind of questioning like are any of these kids like really here for like Jesus, like
Right.
for ministry. And I'm not saying that as like a hypocrite or I'm judging them or anything, but uh I guess I was just like what is the heart behind
Them
like
being here.
them being
Yeah.
here, you know? Because I know like when I was in high school and middle school, like people would go to these things for the social aspect or oh, I want to go meet a girl or I want to go, you know, it's a way to get out of the house or go do whatever um and like I know just being a young person in this generation, like I know there's people that are going there for not necessarily the right reasons, or they're just there because their parents dropped them off, you know. Um, and I think there's like I think Jack was like the first like student that I met that I was like, oh, this kid is like serious like about this, you know. Um, and like it was just more like it was just so evident that he was there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And I think for me that kind of like showed me like okay, like he like if he can pour into his friends, into people that are younger than him, and I remember him speaking on stage and you know like as a high schooler, you know, and I was like if
Preaching.
he can do this like then it shows me this matters and
Yeah.
like I have a role in this and I think I've gotten to see a really cool perspective of just being part of ministry, being a like photographer, videographer, whatever, social media person. Like it's not the same as like I'm not a pastor, I'm not a worship leader, I'm not like and like yes, I've led groups and I've been part of different CGs and different things and um but I think just getting to see the perspective of like I'm just there to capture these moments and these stories, but seeing it from my perspective, I think is just so like beautiful.
Yeah.
Of like it's so cool to see these students show up, want to be there, connect with their leaders, connect with their friends, and just really pursue a life dedicated to Jesus. And
Yeah.
I think it's awesome to see,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, going back to Jack Wilcox, is that boy he's always in his word, and he
Yeah,
will challenge even the leaders.
yeah.
I will tell you about a conversation that it was me, Dylan Fontville. Was that how you say his last name? Fontville?
I don't know.
Not Dylan,
Yeah,
our Dylan. But it was me, Jack, and Dylan and Wade. And for those of you who don't know, he's an older gentleman. He's, you know,
you should have
or
Wade on the podcast. You
I,
need to.
that would have to be time regulated. Love you, Wade. But so it was me, Wade, Jack, and Dylan, and so we were talking about a certain situation that had been happening at our church, and um, so Wade, full of wisdom and knowledge that he is, he came up with a response, and Jack turned around and challenged him with scripture, and I was like, I remember seeing that, went just like waiting for Wade's response, like like the generation that's rising up right now are in their word, and it just blesses my heart to know that Jack and Dylan, they're off in college right now, and they're making an impact
Yeah.
on now college kids.
I mean, I mean, even just what you're saying there, like this generation, I think seeing even what we're talking about, like just the growth of church and in the last 6 months, the last year or two, I really do think it's really just driven by younger people. Like seeing Common Ground grow so much and even the student ministry growing so much and how many kids went to camp this summer and like seeing that, like I think it really is cool to be like a part of it, but also just see how God is working in this generation. And I think people really do want like God and want
Yeah,
that, you know?
to piggyback off of that, I think people are just hungry for the truth as well,
Yes.
because with Pastor Ed being so bold and what his teachings are now, that is so contrary to what culture is right now. Like where we are as a society, and it's just complete opposite of what God's design for life is. And Pastor Ed to be so bold to say, hey, these things are not in line with the word of God. Even the culture is saying, be yourself, be whatever you want to
Yeah.
be. And I think I remember when we did the trending series, I think for the first time, Pastor Ed had said, this is going to thin our church out.
Yeah.
And I think the exact opposite happened. I think our church exploded after, and that was just the first time we did trending.
Yeah.
There was like 2 more trending series after that. And then now, like, it's just people are hungry for the truth. And I think that goes down with the kids as well, because I mean, they're in school and they're hearing all these things, and you can see it on social media where the teachers are trying to indoctrinate kids with all this radicalness. And I just love, like, I was talking to one of the students on Wednesday. Now he wants to start a turning point. I mean, I know that's kind of all start off from the whole Charlie Kirk situation, but I'm like, the point is now these kids are stepping up to
Yeah.
share the gospel in their schools, and it just fires me up. Like I wish I could go and like cheer them on at school, like
Yeah.
But man, I really do think that it's Gen Z, right? Gen Z,
I guess so.
that's
Yeah.
I think is like really turning to Jesus. And it's crazy because we have access to everything with like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, I don't even think Facebook is that big of a thing anymore. But I think I read somewhere that Christian content right now is like the top viewed.
Yeah. I mean, even Forrest Frank, like he's one of the biggest artists in the world right
Bro,
now.
Franz Frank is a whole genre on his own. Like there's like Christian music, there's Christian hip hop, and then there's Forrest Frank. I was actually watching last night the podcast with Ruslan
Yeah.
and him and Corey, with that whole
I haven't watched it yet,
that
but yeah.
debacle of the situation. But it just goes to show, like, man, how much good can happen even in a small disagreement
Yeah.
over a social media post. Like
Yeah.
that was never meant to be negative, but it turned up this way, and to see them reconcile with each other, like it's just phenomenal. I just I don't know, I get so emotional sometimes thinking about, man, like how far gone are we as a society, but how much more like God is on the move,
Yeah.
and just in our city, I think. And um I just man, I don't know, I can ramble on all day and night about that, but yeah. So I had a question I was going to ask earlier and I got sidetracked, but I was talking about how some people can see like Christian hip hop in a place like Paper Tigers, and they'll say, well, that's not truly Christian because scripture says you're going to be different from the world and separate yourself from the world and da da da, all the things, right? What is like, what would be advice from you to someone who's on that side of the aisle where it's like, no, number one, Christian rap isn't godly, or you can't have a Christian concert at a secular place? Like, what would be your response to that?
I mean, I kind of liked how you said it. Like, worship looks different for different people, and I also just think you have to know the heart behind things before you can like judge them.
Mm.
You know, and I even think like the word judge is so weird today. Like everybody's just judging everybody and like social media, and like you can see a lot more of like people, with
Yeah,
social media. And um but I think just not being so quick to judge things. And I think for me, like, even just the side of like, there's different denominations, there's different religions, there's different things, and so much is happening. And like, there's a lot of disagreement within the church. And I think at the end of the day, if people can agree on like Jesus, like he died and,
mm,
he was resurrected and, saved my life, and that is the main thing.
yeah,
And if everyone can agree on that, like great. And I
yeah,
think when it comes to like these music artists, like I think you have to, for one, like see it before you can say anything about it.
true.
Because like I get it, like some of these songs, like you can listen to some of these songs and you're like, is this really about like, oh, is this biblical? Or, and people will break down lyrics and what does this mean and what does that mean? And at the end of the day, like some of these music artists, like you can ask them. And I remember like I watched a podcast of No Big Deal is a big music artist and he's kind of growing a lot right now. Um, but he was asked the question of, are you like, would you say you are a rapper that raps about Jesus or a like minister that uses rap to do ministry?
Wow.
And he said I'm a rapper. Like don't make me like out to be some ministry pastoral person. Like he's like, I just like making music, and I love Jesus, and my music is going to reflect who I am as a person. And like if I'm a child of God, my music is going to reflect that. But then I think on the other hand though, there are some of these music artists that are like, this is ministry. This is like, this is my way of preaching the gospel, of sharing the gospel to people. And but it's cool to just meet these people and know their heart behind it. And I think Hovey is the first person I always think of as like, from seeing him in like a closer proximity, like he is purely like, this is for Jesus, this is for God. And it's like, I just want other people to experience this and come to know him. And I think it's really cool to see people using creative ways to do that. And I think we'll see more of that as this generation goes on, and you have to not like change church or the Bible or anything, but like learning to share the gospel in different ways and do ministry in more creative and fun ways. And I think social media is a big one. This podcast, is ministry.
Yeah.
The photography and videography I do, social media and YouTube videos and all the different things. Like it really is like becoming. I think the church is just going to become a lot more creative
Yeah.
as time goes on, and implementing more things with music
Yeah.
and visuals and
Yeah.
clothing, Christian clothing brands, and
That's like a big thing right now is
yeah.
Christian clothing.
So it's all just like, I think it's all gonna come together over time. And um I think if Christianity, if the church wants to reach people in the world, I think they have to meet like, or kind of try to change culture.
Mm.
If culture is all about fashion and social media and you know all this stuff you see online, like, oh, this is cool, like it's like, okay, how do we make Christianity
Yeah.
look cool?
I absolutely love that because, again, going back to like when people would say, "Oh, the worship is why is there lights and why is there this and why is that?" Well, why not? Like, I
Yeah,
don't understand. Like, why is that such a
yeah,
bad thing? I think, for someone who has a gift in lighting,
yeah,
well, God gave you that gift. Are you going to go use it at a secular concert? Why not use it to
yeah,
glorify Jesus? And I think setting the atmosphere of worship. And then they think like, oh, you guys don't like lights. Well, what do you think heaven's going to look like? Like,
yeah.
the scripture is very clear about thunder and lightning. And
Yeah,
I don't imagine, like, when I think about that, I think like just, I'll say this, a long time ago, I went to help lead worship at a church here in San Antonio, a long time ago. And the worship leader said this perfectly, how when we try to not replicate but create this atmosphere of worship with lights and these effects, and it's like, because scripture is very clear on what the throne of God looks like. And she's like, man, this doesn't even compare to what the majesty of God when we get there, you know what I mean? Like flashes of lightning, thunder. I mean, they talk about just heaven and stuff was full of colors and gold and all these gems and rubies and all these things. Like I'm just like, we have, if you don't like it, this little
yeah,
puny effect, this $5,000 light thing that can do these weird cool things, like you're gonna have a really hard time in heaven. But it is someone's worship. Like I think about people that
yeah,
are in CBC production, and they do such a great job of creating an atmosphere, which I'm not saying that it needs to be there to create an atmosphere of worship, but it helps. And that's their talent, that's their gift, and
yeah,
they're doing it to glorify
yeah.
Jesus.
No, I liked
Um,
what you said just about like the people behind it and like using their gifts to glorify God. And like, I do think like, I talk about it all the time. Like, me being a photographer, videographer, like, there's so many different realms of where I can do
Yeah.
that and how I can, how I can do it. And it is what I love doing, but I think I'm also like grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that in ministry in
Yeah.
a church setting and
Yeah.
like where I'm doing it. Because I do know photographers and videographers that do secular concerts and shows and do music videos for artists and different things. And it's really cool. Like they're super talented and amazing like people, but I think being able to do it for the glory of God and just think about like if we do everything for the glory of God,
Yeah.
like the person doing lighting, the person running the lyrics on the screen and all the different like
Yes.
worship drummers, like it's all a form of worship um and that's how I see my photography, videography
Yeah.
stuff and I think now I'm at a position to want to give that opportunity to more people and not um take it for myself,
Well, think about like the kids in our student ministry that are growing up that might have a passion for that. Because I love camp because I always see kids with their cameras and they go and they're taking pictures, and I see that and I'm like, oh, there's little Lane or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
they could be the future,
Yeah. No, exactly.
connected to you and train them so
Yeah.
they could take it while you're focusing maybe on common ground, and then they're starting to get their feet wet in student ministry, and like it's all part of like the circle of life. Um, it's just for you to be doing that in those places, encourage the students. Says, man, I can do that as well, because
Yeah.
they're gonna go. If not, like if there's not somebody like you who is paving the way for these kids, like they're gonna go find it somewhere else. And I'd rather them doing in church at a club in a Christian setting, in a secular club, than in a secular club in a non-secular setting.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's phenomenal. I think you, Lane, and I'll say this, like working with you for I think what a couple of years now,
Yeah.
so close with student ministry and working with some of the same kids, like you are a phenomenal leader, and I think that you're doing such a great job. These kids look up to you, and anything that you do, they're watching and they're being encouraged. And I'm so grateful to work alongside you and also call you a friend. You and Maddie both, like I told y'all mean the world to me. And it's so cool that you guys are finally in my house.
Yeah.
And to finally get you on the show and hear your side of things, and hopefully encourages someone. As I know a lot of the kids actually have started to listen to this show now. This is like nothing. This is just a hobby. I'm not getting money off of this. I'm not trying to become Bryce Crawford, although that would be cool. But it's just knowing that it's falling on some ears that's actually making an impact in somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing the same thing with your photography. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you driving all the way to
Oh,
Converse
thank you.
to hang out with me in my house and talk a little bit about your life and Jesus, and all the things that's happening within our ministry and just in this generation in general. Um, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Not necessarily. I guess like now that I'm thinking about it, like there's one thing that I do feel like is good to talk about is just part of my testimony is like I won't go like too much into it, but just the idea of like people pleasing.
Mm,
And I think me and you have talked about this a little bit before, but I just wanted to touch on that part of my story. Just kind of learning to like love myself throughout the last for probably a while. I mean, honestly, I'd say last 10 years maybe, or last 5 or 6 years of just really pursuing like God, but also just pursuing wanting to become a better person and like loving myself and loving the people around me better. And I think for me, COVID was like a big part of that. Because it separated me, it kind of like isolated me. And I think it isolated me in a healthy way of figuring out who I am without everything around me, or everyone around me. Um, but I guess just for people like watching this and students and people, whatever age group, like you said, um, just learning to um, love yourself and like seek after God. And I don't think you can love other people the right way until you know how to like love yourself. And I think for me that was one of the biggest like life lessons and do kind of what we've been talking about this whole time, doing student ministry, doing my photography stuff, doing everything that I've been doing and being able to be a leader in ministry. I think a lot of that stems from me having to learn how to love people correctly, and we live in such a like transactional world of like I love you because you do this for me instead of like I love you just to love you. And I think seeing students being able to learn that now and have that just love for life and for other people and for themselves, and I think it goes a long way. You know, if you can figure that out sooner rather than later, I think you can really make an impact on the world.
Yeah,
But,
that's good. If you're not filling your own cup up, how can you pour it out on others?
yeah,
There was a little bit of a season. I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but where you kind of took a step back,
yeah,
and you and I had some conversations about that. And I remember you were kind of discouraged.
yeah,
Um, but I only say that to say that when I see you now, I feel like you're a different Lane from before that time too. Like
yeah,
you've grown so much, and I think it's healthy. Sometimes we do need to take a step, whether it's forced or choice.
yeah,
And that goes back to like figuring out on what's going on inside of ourselves, like getting to know who we really are,
yeah,
growing in our own relationship with Jesus. But anyway,
yeah.
yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming out and sharing your journey and everything that you're doing. Um, I'm excited to see your future with your photography. I mean, like what's next? Big church? Like getting on
I don't know.
staff with
I don't
like
know.
I don't know.
We'll see what
Um
happens.
but yeah, I'm gonna need a picture of you for the graphic.
Okay, those are hard to find.
Yeah, I
So
know, 'cause you never really take pictures of yourself. I
yeah.
know that there's been a few times where I reach out to him like, hey, do you have pictures
Well, even
of
the picture you used for Tori, I took. I'm pretty sure
with who?
of
Or
Tori's.
Tori? Was
It was her graduation.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was you.
I took
I can just
those.
she has her arm. I just took it
Yeah.
off.
No, that's fine.
But yes, I love it, and I'm so grateful to know you again. But I do ask my people, my guests, to pray us out. Do you want to
No,
do that
I
for
can do
us?
that.
Awesome.
Dear God, I thank you for this day and this night, Lord, that we were able to have this conversation. And I just pray that this conversation would have an impact on the people listening, and hopefully just captures my story well. And just was a great conversation to share with the world and with the people around us. But I thank you for David and this podcast and everything that he's been doing. And I just pray for the future of all this and for all of us, and yeah, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I love it. I love it.